O'clock, and we are here on Beekeeping 24/7 and here to talk to you. So you have to move the camera all of a sudden because the angle changed. Oh, that's the way it goes. The
It is.
technology is a wonderful thing. Hi, I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer,
And I'm Amy Nickerson, the Queen Bee.
and we are here to talk to you a few things. It's the middle of winter, middle of January now for us. We're here in middle of Maine. Got about 10 inches of snow on the ground, another 10 inches coming this week.
Yep.
So that's not entirely a bad thing because snow around beehives just insulates them. So it's better than really brutal cold, which some of the country gets.
Right.
So I'm not going to complain at all. We've had a really mild winter so
We
far.
really have, and I mean, the bees have had plenty of chances to go out and have their bathroom breaks and get a little cleansing flight done. Which normally this time of year it's Arctic, and those chances don't come along very frequently. But the girls have had a chance to use the restroom this year,
Which is nice.
which is always for a healthy hive.
That's right. So we're going to be talking to you today about a workshop that we've got coming up at the end of this week, the 27th and 28th of January. It's a beginner sort of workshop, really answering the question, is beekeeping for me? I mean, a lot of folks have thought about beekeeping. You may be
Yeah.
thinking about it, but you don't really know what's involved, and you don't know whether or not you want to take the plunge yet. So what this class is going to go through all the basics of beekeeping in
Mm-hmm.
a bit over an hour.
Yeah.
And then we're going to follow up the next day with lots of questions and answers, a few more things to show you, but questions and answers, and it's to show you how we can help you with it.
Right.
A lot of you already may have a excuse me, a mentor, somebody who can help you with bees, somebody you know that's keeping bees,
Right.
and you've probably been asking them for ages, could you help me get started with bees? And so you've got you're a little way down the road there. And for another load of folks, they've got nobody to give them that information.
Right.
And what we're going to show you in this class is both the basics of what you'd be getting involved with, but also how we can sort of hold your hand through the process if you decide to get going.
Right.
And so we're looking forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun, this little class.
It is, and it's a compact, shorter version of what we offer on Beekeeping 24/7. We've got a full and complete class there. Once someone decides, you know what, yeah, this is for me, and we really, I feel, and I hope that you think the same after you take this mini class. It shows you how fun this actually is. I mean, it's an amazing hobby. It's the benefits. Outweigh any work involved, and there's really not as much work involved as people might think in keeping bees.
Yeah. It's yeah. A lot of folks wonder, do I have time to keep bees? And basically,
Oh my gosh, I have
oh
my
yeah,
yard is too small, and we try to dispel a lot of those myths of
that's right.
on beekeeping where it doesn't take a lot of time during the week, and you don't need a big backyard. In fact, you don't even really need a yard. There's people in large cities that have them on rooftops.
Yeah.
So
But also, while we're here live, feel free to fire away any questions that you
mhm,
might have. We're That's one reason it's great to go live, is to be able to answer the questions and solve the question for you right now before you have time to dwell on it.
right,
So send us any questions that you might have.
yep, feel
A
free.
lot of us get into beekeeping for a lot of different reasons.
Hmm.
Like for myself, when I started when I was 11 back in the 70s, and I just loved animals, but I also loved the idea of making honey that I could sell from my front door and make lots of money as a kid.
Hmm.
And I don't think many people get into beekeeping to make money,
No,
and not many do. But it is actually quite amazing. Now the price of honey has gone through the roof.
it
It must be
has.
like eggs.
Yeah.
It's basically uh, I'm getting now twice what I got 5 or 6 years ago
Hmm.
per pound. And a single hive. I've got hives that occasionally produce 100, 200, even 300 pounds
Yeah.
of honey from one hive from one year. I mean, 40 to 60 pounds is a lot more common, but it
Yeah.
all depends on your skill, your location, your weather, and a bit of luck.
Definitely.
But having the knowledge in the back, knowledge is the the key to being able to get started with that.
And other people joined for other reasons. On when I joined about 10 years ago, started doing this stuff. It was I needed a hobby. I needed something else to occupy my time. I have a super high stress job, and I needed a hobby. And why I chose beekeeping is beyond me. I was
You were scared of
terrified,
bees. You were
terrified
terrified
of
of bees.
bees.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one day I'm like, that really looks interesting, and I took a class actually from you, and an in-person class, and I'll tell you what, I was hooked from there. I've been obsessed with bees ever since. When people find out I keep bees, they ask me questions, and then they regret it because I don't stop talking about bees. And it really, what we found is a lot of people start this, and the same thing happens with them. They just absolutely become obsessed with bees. It's an amazing hobby.
It really is. And I had a few years when I lived overseas where I didn't have bees, and come a warm spring day, I would just miss it so much.
Yeah.
There is nothing like opening up a beehive in April.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the trees in bloom around you and that sort of thing, and the bees are just so gentle. They're so excited about the good weather, going out there foraging for food, bringing back. You're standing there. They don't even notice you're there.
No.
As if they're flying right through you. And it's just so quiet. What you hear from the bees, the sound from the bees, the smell.
Yep. It has a
just
calming
really
effect.
is like a Zen experience. It really is.
It really is a calming effect. And I know in spring and summer mornings, I'm out with my hives. I'm in the city. I've got hives right in the city. I'm out with a cup of coffee, just watching my girls go in and out and looking at the different color of pollen they're bringing in. And that's one of my favorite things to do is to stand right next to the hive and just watch them doing their thing.
Yeah, same here. And of course, if you're a gardener, keeping bees is going to change what's happening in your yard. You're going to find everything's getting pollinated. If you've got fruit trees, you're going to have a lot more fruit.
Oh, yeah.
And so it just seems that you start to appreciate just how important bees are to the local environment, and you start to appreciate everything that's in the environment which is affecting your bees. And so you have.
It really is a hobby that gives back.
Yeah,
it does.
That's right. It
gives
changes
back.
your life in many, many ways.
Yep. And so what we wanted to do is we've created this little workshop, and it's about, the first part of it is about an hour long, and it gives everybody just that taste of it, because the more people that we can bring into this amazing hobby, the better it is for everybody, including the planet. I mean, no bees, no food.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we've taught thousands of beekeepers
have.
as it is getting into beekeeping, but this is a way we could sort of reach out to a lot more people. This little mini workshop will cover all the basics very briefly. Compared to our normal class that we have recorded as part of Beekeeping 24/7, it's about 10% of one of our beginner's class, but it gives a bit of the highlights of everything from the bees, the equipment, the costs, and the locating bees, and how you manage your bees, and harvesting honey, and preparing them for winter. So it's going to go through that to give you an idea. Is this what you want to do? And this is what you can expect to pay, and this is how much time you'd expect to be involved.
Right. And this is might even help you make that decision. Are bees for me, or am I able to do it where I live? And we're hoping to show people that you can pretty much keep bees anywhere. And it's just taking that first step to learn about what you're getting into. It's so important to understand what you're getting into, and educate yourself on how to keep bees.
And then to know that you're not in it on your own.
Right.
Because whether you've got a mentor or not, we are here to help you. And we will talk more about what Beekeeping 24/7 has to offer in terms of continuously mentoring you as you go, and continuing your learning process, not just the beginner type classes, but a lot more in the community and the we've probably made an additional 40 or 50 videos for our group this year, just continuing to evolve the education there.
So, and to touch on mentorship again, the importance of having a mentor, if you do decide to go into bees, or if you already have gone into them and you might be struggling a little bit, having a mentor is it's invaluable. As you're going through your hives, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I looking at? And the new beekeeper, you kind of panic a little
Yeah,
bit at
you're
first,
going to
and
forget everything that we taught you.
everything that we've
So
taught
you'll
you. So
be back on checking up with us. I saw this. Is this right? Yep.
yep.
And that's what we're
Right.
here for.
And we're here to put people's minds at ease. And when they
That's
have
right.
those questions, we're right there for them to answer those questions. Say, first off, take a deep breath.
Yep.
Everything's good.
You remember it well, don't you?
Yeah, I do remember it well, and you probably do too.
Oh
Because
yeah, the phone calls.
I called Peter a lot. A lot, because he was my mentor, whether he liked it or not. I called him and constantly,
More like
and
stalker.
I was amazed he actually answered the phone half the time that I called. But there was that time I was in the hive, I just didn't know what I was looking at, or was I doing the right things, and Peter was able to tell me, take a deep breath for starters, and absolutely, this is the right path, and if you have a question, can answer the questions. And that is so important to have a mentor. And if you don't have somebody that's local to you that you're able to even to bounce things off and to help you with your bees, that's another service that we offer as well, is to be here for that beginning or struggling beekeeper and mentor them, because I do remember what it was like, and I wish I had something like this so I could have left him alone a little bit more.
Oh, but that's okay. I mean, I run a beekeeping supply store here in Hamden, Maine, and I have hundreds of people calling me and asking me about these sort of things. So this comes with the territory, and actually, there's nothing I like more than talking about bees anyway.
Right.
And so it's no problem for me. And that's Amy and I will both be at your disposal in terms of when you're contacting us. We're here to answer questions.
Speaking of questions,
you've got one, yeah.
So from Elizabeth, do you have any trouble with bears or other animals? I'll start because my answer's a lot shorter. I'm in the city. So
Mice, maybe.
yeah, mice are a problem, and skunks could be a problem in the urban areas. They like to scratch at the hives, and they can cause a little bit of problems. But as far as bears, which is really the number one that does the most damage,
I have more fun with bears.
Yeah.
So basically, one of the things I sell in the store is electric fences, because although when I moved to Hamden, I had bees here for 12 years before a bear ever found my hives. But once a bear does find your hives, they want to come back, and so it was a very simple process of getting a decent electric fence, and I prefer to use solar powered electric fences, and when I've had an electric fence up, I've never had an issue with bears, and it keeps out most of the skunks as well, is if you line them up right. So the critters can be an issue, and we go through all the maybe not necessarily in this class. It's more for beekeeping 24/7, but we do go through more of those issues. But if people have questions about it, we'll be happy to answer those. What I currently use is a Parmac 12 volt energizer to power my electric fence, and it does a great job.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
don't
lucky,
grab hold
though.
of it.
I'm lucky I don't have the bear issue in town. I do have some hives in a more rural area. Knock on wood, they haven't found it yet. Hopefully they don't. And if they do, generally aren't many bears where I have it, but if they do, I will be getting an electric fence as well. So, like he said, once a bear discovers your hives, they want to come back. So you need to put something up that makes them not want to come back. And a little zap on the nose usually does the trick.
That's right.
So.
And there's all sorts of different ways. I mean, as I say, I use the solar energizer, which that's probably the most expensive way of doing it. You can use plug-in ones at about a third of the cost, basically. So there's a lot of ways of setting up electric fence. You just want one with a bit of a kick to it to keep bears away. You can keep other critters out with lighter ones, but a bear, you want a good strong one.
As well as the two-legged curious folk that maybe shouldn't get so close to your hives.
Sure.
But that's always a that's pretty much the go-to for any of your larger pests or issues like that.
Yeah.
So,
You'll also notice we've got a link below for this
Yes.
class. So anyone who's interested in joining us on Friday for the workshop, just fill out the go to the link below, and we'll just double check after we go off just to make sure everything showed up on Facebook. And if it doesn't show up where we thought it's going to show up, we're going to put it in the comments
put it
there.
in the comments, yep.
And so you'll be able to join us that way.
Right. And to just remind everybody when and where, so it's going to be, the first part of the workshop becomes available on the 27th. It'll be there It doesn't matter when you log in, it'll be there for you to view at any time or watch over, whichever you choose to do. And then on the 28th, we're going to go live at 6 p.m. and Eastern time. And we'll be talking about the class, answering any questions people may have had about the class, talking a bit about Beekeeping 24/7 and what we can offer you to continue to support you through your beekeeping journey, which is what Peter and I absolutely love to do.
That's right. That's right.
We're lucky we're able to do something that is so passionate for both of us, and I just absolutely love, paying it forward.
Yeah.
So.
There's a couple more questions come in. Raccoons. I've heard very little. I've heard one or two instances of where raccoons may have tipped a hive or something like that, but again, very rare. Skunks are the only other issue animal of substance, because they would come to the hive, scratch the entrance, and eat bees as they come out. Raccoons don't tend to do much damage to a hive, but if in certain areas, perhaps, and again, the electric fence would do exactly the same and help out should they become an issue, but you don't need such a powerful one.
Yeah, no, and I'm right in the city, lots of raccoons, never had a raccoon problem.
Yeah, and I've never had a raccoon issue here, and I know I've got plenty of raccoons around here.
Right.
And also, the best time to start, Shauna wants to know when's the best time to start. Definitely, well, let's say here in Maine, for example, I would always recommend you start around May. Further south, you might start in April, maybe even March if you're right down in Georgia or something. But it varies when your spring arrives. Basically, when the dandelions bloom in your area is probably the ideal time to get started. Starting too early leaves you with lots of issues where you could potentially lose the queen. You have to do a lot more feeding, that sort of thing. So plan to start, think about when the dandelions bloom, wherever you are in the country. That's typically the ideal time to start, but you can usually start any time from a month or 2 months after that as well, because we usually have what we call a honey flow for several months in the spring, to a greater or lesser extent. It will vary a little bit from location to location. Yeah.
So, I mean, even in the warmer climates, they definitely have a spring time when certain things are in bloom. And like Peter said, that's right prior to the honey flow is when you want to start, when flowers are giving up, producing the most nectar.
Yeah.
That's the best time to start. Now, down in Florida, you don't have the 4 seasons like we have up here, but the best time to start would be in what your spring would be.
Yeah, and speaking of Florida, we've got urban Orlando.
Yep.
Urban Orlando, you can probably start almost any time of the year. And an urban environment like Amy's in, it's amazing just how well bees do in a city-type environment, because everyone's got a tiny little yard with lots of different things growing in it. So there's always something being grown.
Because a
and
lot of times,
watering them and
right, and there's times during the summer and stuff where there's either drought or what we call a dearth, when the plants stop producing so much nectar. However, in urban areas and in the city, what I find is my honey flows are a little more constant, sometimes a little bit longer, because people have beautiful ornamental gardens and they keep them watered, and there's usually water sources around a lot more. So in an urban area, they do very, very well. And, my urban hives do just as well, if not better, than my rural ones. So even if you're in the city, you can still keep bees.
Yeah. And a couple of people from West Virginia, I would say April is probably your key time to start there. And it probably just depend a little bit on whether you're up in the hills or lower down as to when your dandelions are going to bloom, and that's going to be your ideal sort of target time. But I would say you'd be very safe starting in April.
And speaking of dandelions, beekeepers are the only ones that are super excited to see dandelions all over their lawn.
That's right.
Because that means that's the first real good solid food for our girls. So.
That's right. Dandelions produce nectar and pollen, which is terrific for the bees. Bees feed on nectar and pollen. Pollen is a protein source. The nectar is the sugar.
Yeah.
And we love dandelions. So you'll always see the beekeepers got the longer lawn, and the clover and the dandelions are growing in the lawn. We're not doing all the weeding and things.
Right.
In fact, part of my lawn I dedicated to wildflowers now.
Yeah.
I actually just sort of tore up all the grass and planted wildflowers, and it's a little wildflower garden. Saves a lot of mowing, and it looks really nice. I can always give my wife some nice flowers and that sort of thing.
So, and another thing, so we're talking about starting, in the spring and what time's a good time to start. Now is a great time to do what we're offering
your
coming right up
preparation.
is to take a class if you haven't gotten started yet, and take a class and learn how to become a beekeeper. And then when you're ready to go and you get your bees and you get going and you get mentors, which that's what we're here for, and then you hit the road running, and or flying, for I guess a better phrase.
Perhaps.
But I can't stress enough how important it is to take some classes and learn about beekeeping prior to jumping in. So it's not difficult. There's a lot to know, but it's not difficult, and it is just the most amazing and wonderful hobby that you can do, in my opinion.
All right. So thank you very much for joining us. This video is going to be viewed for quite a while, so it'll be up. So whilst we won't be necessarily answering the questions directly, we will continue to type in answers
Yes.
as questions come in this evening, that sort of thing. So thank you very much for joining us today. I hope we see you joining us for our workshop on Friday. It's only $10, so it'll be money well spent to tell you whether or not you really want to be in bees and how much fun it's going to be. Got another question there.
Yep.
What's the average startup cost? Very good question. I would say the average startup cost for your equipment, $350 for your hive, maybe $150 to $250 for your bees, depending on how you buy and where you buy your bees, and then your protective gear and your tools. So I would say typically anywhere from $500 to $800, depending on the level of suits and that sort of thing, and the bees type of bees you want, to get your first hive, and your second hive is typically $300 to $500. And as I say, if you harvest honey and you sell it from your front door at $12 a pound, you can very often pay for your bees in the first year, maybe 2 years. You will find that if you're keeping bees, you're never going to be short of gifts to give to people.
That's right.
Because you always give them a lovely jar of your home-produced honey.
Yeah, there's nothing like it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's liquid gold right there.
That's right.
So, folks, we really hope you decide to join us in our class. We will make sure that the link is available with this as well, and if it's not, we'll put it down in the comments. Only $10, and money very well spent to find out if this amazing hobby is for you.
See you then.
All right, take care, folks.